welcome to my channel, and if you are new here, my name is Leah, and I usually do a lot of savvy cooking and meal prepping. Today, the meal prepping that I'm going to be working on is actually for allergy-friendly things. Today, I'm actually working on 3 things. The first, I am doing something for my nephew. He is wheat-free, dairy-free, egg-free, soy-free, corn-free, rice-free. I use a baked oatmeal recipe that I've shared before, but I tweaked it to have vegan alternatives. So if you are vegan or if you have any allergies or sensitivities, this recipe is for you. The next thing I'm gonna do is almond milk. That is what my husband and I drink the most. And then I'm going to take the pulp from the almond milk after it's done, and I'm gonna use that to try some almond crackers for my nephew. So we will see how it goes. So one of the ingredients for the baked oatmeal, oh my gosh, look at my arm, it's covered in yellow dye. To make the Amish baked oatmeal more allergy friendly, I'm gonna have to use chia seeds to make an egg. And the first step is to use 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. So that's 3 teaspoons. And then you're gonna do 2.5 tablespoons of water. We're gonna let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes to thicken up. So while our chia egg is thickening up, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the rest of our baked oatmeal ingredients. The oven is preheating to 350, and I'm doing a half batch of the baked oatmeal recipe that I've done before. So I'm using 3/4 cup of almond milk. We're gonna use 1/4 cup of maple syrup. You could use brown sugar instead. Probably 1/4 cup. So that's 1/8 of a cup. And we're just gonna use 1/8 of a cup of oil. Three-fourths teaspoon of baking powder. And then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You can see our chia egg has thickened completely. So we're just going to scoop this into our baked oatmeal. And then we're going to do 1.5 cups of Old Fashioned rolled oats. On a parchment lined cookie sheet, I'm just going to spread out the mixture. I don't want this to be a really thick oatmeal. I'm wanting it to be similar to a granola bar, but soft. Oatmeal into the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. Next, I'm going to make the icing, so it is like that cinnamon roll kind of flavor. I'm going to do 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. I'm out of almond milk, so I'm going to use some almond creamer. We're going to do about 1/2 tablespoon. I want to drop in a little bit of vanilla. I just transferred this right onto my cool counter so that it has time to just start cooling off. You can see here the edges, and it's really still pretty soft, so we're just gonna let it sit. Once it cooled off, I went ahead and just cut the portions that I wanted to, and I only did about half of this and then put the rest of it into a storage bag. Next was the really fun part, drizzling it with our homemade glaze. And this was the perfect amount for half of the baked oatmeal bars, unless you want to just use a ton or very, very little. So it's all up to your personal preference. I'm going to use half a cup of almonds and pour it right into the blender that I'm going to be using to blend. There's no reason to have to soak these in something separate. After the almonds are done soaking, you're going to go ahead and drain them and then rinse them really well and put them back into the blender with 4 cups of purified or filtered water. So I have a recipe here for easy almond pulp crackers. We're gonna try this out. I'm going to do a half recipe because it calls for a whole cup of almond pulp and I only have probably a half a cup here. So we're gonna measure that, let's see. Oh yeah, there's no way I have a whole cup. So I'm going to just use a half recipe. The first thing I need is a chia egg. And because I'm doing half a recipe, I'm going to make half of a chia egg. I've never done this before, but we will see. 1 tablespoon is what we normally use. I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoons and then about 1 1/4 tablespoon of water. I'll let that sit until it thickens, just about 5 minutes. And then we're going to add our almond pulp. A little bit of salt. What I'm gonna do is put into the bowl our almond pulp, some salt. I'm letting the chia egg form up, and then we're going to add some oil. Then we're gonna do 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. So now that our chia egg is complete, we're just going to put this into the bowl. We're going to lay out some parchment paper so that we can roll the dough in between. It's going to be really sticky and we can't use flour. going to put this on top of my pan, and then we're going to slice it. The recipe says to bake at 350 for about 20 minutes, and then you're gonna flip crackers and bake them another 15 to 20 minutes more. So I'm going to lower it a little bit because she made hers thicker than I did. So I'm going to set my timer for about 15 minutes and then flip them. Some of these are not quite crispy enough, so I'm going to leave them in for a minute, but the other ones are done, so I'm just going to kind of cherry pick what I want and let the rest finish baking. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am really impressed with how all of the recipes turned out today, so I will, as always, leave them linked down in the description box for you. And until the next video, I will see you in those comments.